I stumbled onto, I don't know how, the Reddit Female Dating Strategy.
Of course.
Of course. Which is it appears to be the mirror image of the game. You know, it's like that for women. And similar to that, there's a spectrum of, oh, this is like good, useful, helpful advice that everyone should do, better yourself, all the way to you obviously just are bitter and hate the person, the sex that you're trying to court. Like you just hate.
But also need.
But also
haven't
need
opted
and
out.
are obsessed with.
Yeah. That's always my favorite thing. I hate this gender so much. I'm going to dedicate my life to getting more of them.
Yeah. Huh. And I'm sure this is not to say that the whole thing is terrible, but I did click. I was like, what is this? And I clicked hey, read this section of it, and clicked like, I don't know, one of the top 3 or 4.
You don't have to apologize for going.
I'm just telling you
deep.
where I got this. So the one thing is I clicked the glossary, and there's this idea of breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing is when a man dangles the prospect of a relationship in front of you by like giving you just a little bit, just enough such that you stick around. And what you need to realize is that he's not relationship material. He's not going to do all.
Sorry, do you want to start with the ethos of female?
Oh, yeah, that's fair. It's that, well, there's going to be some disagreement here. I'll try my best. It's that what you want it's for straight women who want a quote-unquote high-value man. A high-value man is different for every woman, but generally includes someone who you are attracted to, who provides for you financially. Now, it doesn't have to be totally provides for you, but at least is well off enough that they cover their own stuff and probably contribute to the pool of shared funds. Gives you increased prospects in life, potentially can be a mentor or someone who connects you into careers, and that you should not get weighed down on the low-value men, who can include anyone from like super attractive, well-off people that will not commit to you in a relationship nor advance you financially or in your career. That's a low-value man in this sphere, or what is more typically considered a low-value man, which is like a guy that you have to pay for, that like doesn't get off the couch, that doesn't do stuff that.
Got it. This is female dating strategies.
Yes.
Okay. So in this world, high value means
from the perspective of the people in the subreddit, which is like improves my life.
Improves my life.
Yeah.
And so you can be low value if you don't bring anything to the table that they view as valuable, or if you have all that stuff but won't give it to them.
Yes. And generally speaking, they want a lot of them. At some point, families, a partner or something.
So this is a subreddit for how to get that definition of a high value man.
And there's an in-between time where maybe you're not going for that, but what else can you get from men? Which is like the really sinister, I think, part of it. So there's this idea of breadcrumbing that I think is totally reasonable, that both men and women have to watch out for, which is when someone gives you just enough of what they know that you want in a relationship to dangle the prospect of, if you're good enough and if they like you enough, you can get this guy who hasn't commit to you, or you can get the girl who hasn't slept with you or showed you any romantic affection. This is the flip side of it, to hook up with you. And so they give you just enough. And like they say, be careful this, don't do, men who do this are terrible. And then they literally explain in the same, like in a different post, which is a top one, how to breadcrumb men.
Really?
They don't call it breadcrumbing, but it's like, you have to be fun, but not too fun. So one of the things they say, if you don't drink and he offers you a drink, you should accept his drink offer, but toss it out when he's distracted or accidentally knock it off the table, so that you appear to be more fun, but are not going to run the risk of getting drunk enough to sleep with him, basically. And there's another thing, like, there's often a criticism, they say, that you're selling yourself when you do this for men, that you're like using your sexuality to get things, but you don't sell yourself for things you want ever, because the majority of the time you end up never holding up your end of the bargain, which is like, that is the literal words sentence in the top posts on here, which is, and so what they're describing is a woman who goes and gets free dinners, and they're proud that they have men around them. And men in the game talk about this side of women who are trying to extract advantage in life from them: money, career prospects, free food, dinners, experiences, and to be wary of that. And this is that they're talking about how they can get that. I'm not trying to get my guy that I'm going to be with, but in the meantime, I've gotten all this stuff from these guys that think that they're going to hook up with me, and I've been able to advance in my career way faster. And there's a pride that is being talked about, and it's I don't have an issue with men writ large or women writ large, but it's just fascinating to see the tribalism split in terms of gender, and then talk about how to get what you want exclusive to the feelings of the person who is providing it for you, and whether or not they're getting what they might like in a relationship, and which is the same in men, if you're being honest about it at all. Like, it's fine. Look, if you want to go out there and say, like, look, I'm not going to sleep with any of you, but whoever wants to take me out to dinner tonight to this 4-star restaurant, I'm totally willing to go.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
But then they won't want to take me to dinner, though.
There's plenty of people who would. I think that there's plenty of people that would sign up for that. And then there was, I wish I'd copy pasted it because I want to get the quote right, but it was in the comments section. It was, this is just awful. So many men just despise and hate women. Those men are vile. Men are vile. And it was like a sentence apart from one another. It was like, it's just because these men hate women that they can't do it.
I wonder what it is about. I wonder why dating specifically brings out so much vitriol.
Hold on, my dog's going berserk. I don't think it's dating specifically because politics does it as well. So does sports. So does literally anything where you can have a team.
What's going on here?
My dogs are going berserk.
For who, though?
I don't know. Hold on, let me go get him. Okay. We're back. Go for it. So anyway, that was my foray into female dating strategy, and my thought was very similar to male dating strategy, which is that there's a broad spectrum of people in there, some of whom advocate lying, taking advantage as much as possible, and deny having this deep-seated vitriol for the opposite sex gender that is so patently obvious, sentences later. And there's some of stuff which is like just genuine, hey, if you want to get better prospects, improve yourself. And, think about what would make you attractive and then try to become that thing so that you may actually attract the type of person that you're interested in, which is also, I'm sure, and I saw 1 or 2 posts available in that circle community thing. And the last thing related to it, which I thought was interesting, is that, there was these posts that were about knocking your drink over or whatever so that you can pretend to be more fun than you are, and the criticism that I have of that, aside from being immoral, is the same as this kind of stuff that men talk about with all the effort that they put into pretending to be shit, which is like when you win that guy that thinks that you're fun and you like what you have wound up with is a headache that you now have to like knock drinks over for and like dump them into plants to just maintain this facade of being a more whatever person than you actually are. Like the prize sucks for you if you have to fake it so hard to win it. And to maintain it is going to be miserable at that point.
I don't think anyone's going to be surprised to hear that there's dudes that lie to try to hook up and then they don't date the girl. And I don't think there's going to be people who are surprised to hear that there's women out there that use men for whatever they want. The question I have is, how do you avoid it? If you're on the other side, you're like, I'm trying to find somebody that's not going to
do this,
throw drinks in the plants and breadcrumb me. Or you're like, I'm trying to find a guy who's not going to just lie to me and promise me the world. And then when they sleep with me, they're going to bounce. Because that to me is the question I think that's interesting. It's like, how do you avoid people from
what's interesting is that I feel like in each of these communities, that's kind of what it is an attempt to do. It's like they got burned and then there's this overcorrection. Because I remember back in the day, like one of the advice is like, never buy a girl a drink. Never do this. She's going to put you in this realm of someone who pays and you that she can use for money. And there's a grain of something I understand in there, which is you don't want the relationship to be based on you paying her for her time and attention. But what that gets turned into is you can never just be like, yo, I got this. Like it's.
Well, I actually think that that mindset a lot of times comes from an assumption that the drink cost is meaningful to you. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, you don't want to invest. You don't want to show like you're investing in this person with this big sacrifice of buying a drink. But it's certainly not unattractive if you just don't show that if you're just like, I don't care about this, so this is nothing to me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, drink for you, drink for you, drink for me. None of this matters to me. That definitely doesn't make you less attractive.
You are thinking of perhaps how you've done it in that way, but think of the person in Las Vegas who is like a rich founder who invites a group of girls and all of her friends to just, he'll pay for everything that weekend. Yes, it's not meaningful to him, but he's not necessarily increasing his odds of being viewed as an attractive man as a result because he's
but I don't think
treating himself like an ATM.
I don't think he's hurting himself by buying the drinks. I think he's hurting himself with everything else. I think there's a guy that rocks up and does that and does it extremely attractively. And then I think there's someone that does the exact same behavior of buying bottles and does it extremely unattractively. And I think it comes through in other behavior.
Well, it's when your primary contribution to the relationship is you're signaling that it's financial. It's not the fun that you're having.
But exactly. So imagine Rob Gronkowski, but he's not. But no one knows who he is.
Yeah.
But he just walks in, and he's just a giant, and he's there with his brothers, and he buys bottles. And while you're drinking them and trying to get his attention, he's taking his shirt off and talking to his brothers and spinning it around.
Which, by the way, this is he picks him because we live in Vegas.
This is what he does. Oh, dude, he's just there to have fun. He just ignores everybody, and then when he's like,
takes his shirt off.
I kind of want to sleep with someone. There's a line of people, and yes, he is famous. But I think even if he wasn't, that behavior of buying the bottles would not hurt him because he's just so clearly there to have fun, and getting someone to hook up with him is so not his primary priority and not why he's buying the bottles. And I think that comes through in his behavior. So I actually think it's not I used to think that it was, and I still would never start a conversation by saying, hey, you're really pretty. Can I buy you a drink? But that's just because I think there's better ways to start a conversation. But yeah, I don't think that buying a drink or buying bottles is the problem. Every single Tinder date I've ever been on, I bought the drinks, and I don't think it has ever been a bad idea.
Well, similarly, if you wanted to flip it, okay, so that's the piece of advice that men are often told to avoid, which actually comes from a more nuanced point, which is have more to offer than simply financial access, right? There's the very standard point that is given to women, which is don't put out too much too easily, don't sleep with him before X amount of time, which I think follows the same, is advice of the same caliber, which is yes, this is generally I understand what you're going for, which is you want to weed out the men from your perspective that only want you for sex, and you want to increase the investment from the other potential suitors so that they take you more seriously as a long-term girlfriend rather than short-term hookup.
I also think it depends on what your psychic cost is when you sleep with someone and they don't hit you up again. Because I think if that's high, that's the difference, I guess, is if buying a drink and then not getting somebody to pay attention to you hurts you tremendously, then you shouldn't do it. And if sleeping with somebody and then not hearing from them again hurts you tremendously, you shouldn't do it. Because I do think, I cannot think of anybody who did that and it hurt them, didn't sleep with the person, and because of that, they didn't get a second date. They weren't going to get the second date regardless if they slept with them or not.
Yeah.
But I do know, I just can think of one male friend I had who he did not do particularly well with women. He met a woman and they hooked up, and I was like, oh, that's great. And he's like, yeah, but I can never see her again because she slept with me on the first date, so she's probably easy. I was like, what if she just likes you? Your self-esteem has eliminated the fact that perhaps you just had a unique connection. And so he did not see that person again, which seemed crazy to me.
Yeah,
so I can understand.
I feel like that was a low self-esteem thing.
That's what I'm saying.
On his part.
Yes, but so I'm saying from the female perspective, I can understand why someone would say I try to avoid sleeping with someone on the first date, because I've just seen that go badly, and I've never seen somebody who waited till the second date be hurt by that.
Oh, sure. And I agree. And what I'm saying is that is similar, if not maybe not identical, but the friend who buys the drinks, they get the drinks and excuse themselves to go to the bathroom. And they're going to go, oh, the problem was that the drinks didn't. It's not exactly, it's not exactly that, but you need a different approach. So we're just going to say that's off limits. Now, which is actually not the case. And that's the point that you're making. Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.